Greetings. This is Matt Fiello, Technical Marketing Engineer with the Cisco Cloud Networking Compute BU, and we're back with another Intersight Managed Mode Expert Series video. Now, for this video, we're going to switch gears a little bit because we're not talking about a specific policy as we've done in prior videos, but we're actually going to be talking about the identification pools that support Intersight Managed Mode. And instead of doing a discrete separate video for each and every pool, I'm going to pretty much be combining all the pools into a single video. Same format. We're going to review some slides, a few extra slides since we're talking about the different pools, and then we'll finish up with a short demonstration. Okay, so here we are in Intersight, and I just want to talk a little bit about pools in general. We can see that we're an infrastructure service and we're down here in pools, and you can see all the different types of pools that we support in Intersight, IP, MAC, UUID, both the WW node name and port name, iSCSI, IQN, and then that last guy there, resource pools. Now that's in Intersight language, that's server pools as it stands right now. Okay, there'll be other type of resources in the future, but right now that's pretty much server pools. So being that that's not a ID, I'm going to address resource pools in a separate video. But all the remaining ID pools to include IP, okay, for your KVMs, we're going to talk about in this video. So let's go ahead and start with our first pool. We're going to talk about IP pools. So they're global pools in Intersight Managed Mode, and we support both IP version 4 and version 6. Okay, currently you create a pool and then you add one or more blocks to the pool. The blocks do support 1024 addresses. Slight change over the 1,000 that was supported in UCS Manager, UCS Central. And as it stands currently, you have a singular common netmask gateway DNS. So all the blocks have to behave according to that single entry for netmask gateway and DNS. We're going to enhance this in the future to add some additional flexibility with these blocks, and I'll come back at a later time and address that. But these pools can also be in band and out of band, and they're referenced where they fit in. They're referenced in the IMC access policy. And finally, I want to call out that the IP pools, the IPs for your server profiles, they only get provisioned in the server profile at SP deployment time. Okay, so you can create the server profiles in advance from scratch or derived from template. You're not going to see immediately the KVM management IP in there in your server profile until you actually get ready to deploy it down. That's just a behavior regarding this particular pool, and I want to call that out. So I just wanted to bring you to the screen here in Intersight Managed Mode on how to create an IP pool. And as you can see here, the first screen you would give it a name, and that's where you put your tags, your description, etc. And then the second parameter screen here, as you can see, you can enable IPv4 and define your parameters for mask, gateway, DNS. Add your blocks in. The little plus sign on the far right side is how you would add another line for another block. Okay. And then as you proceed forward, you have the option of enabling IPv6 as well. Okay, so let's move on to the MAC address pools for IMM. So MACs are 12 digits or 48-bit, 6 by 8. They're also 6-byte hexadecimal numbers. Okay, so we can use hex. First 3 octets are hard-coded. You don't really want to change those, okay, by best practice. That's the Cisco OUI 0025B5. So leave that alone. That'll help ensure uniqueness, okay. The remaining 3 octets, you're going to have over 16 million address values available. So you got plenty of space. Okay. Sometimes the 4th octet the one after B5 here, the fourth octet, is used as some kind of a organizational or a fabric identifier, because some customers want MAC addresses for the A fabric and MAC addresses for the B fabric. Others understand or assume that everything's going to get clustered together and upstream switches, so they're not really concerned about fabric specific MAC addresses. Your choice. Okay, so we're back in Intersight here, and we're flashing to the Mac creation, and we're on the second screen. And you can see the 0025B5 is already kind of hard-coded there. So don't change that. Go ahead and use the last three octets to create your Mac blocks. You can actually create a specific Mac pool, again, for the A fabric or the B fabric, or just use a single Mac pool for both. So now we're going to move on to the Universally Unique Identifier Pool, UUID pool. And in this pool here, it's 128-bit identifier of version 4. It's made up of two major components, the prefix and the suffix. So the prefix has an 844 character format, and the suffix then has a 4 and a 12 digit format. Okay, so this actually gets put together for a 32 hex character ID. Okay, so kind of make your head explode as far as the number of combinations. Okay, that's why we're not too overly concerned about having duplicates. Okay, you want to be unique, certainly in your organization. Little add-in here. Be generate 1 billion UUIDs per second for 85 years. You'd have a 50% chance of creating a duplicate. So that is definitely a lot of values. I'm not going to corroborate that with math. But yeah, so you want to make sure they're unique in your organization. Your organization might already have a defined prefix, so you want to check and see if that's valid. Otherwise, there's online UUID generators that you can go out there and leverage. Okay, so we're here in the UUID pool creation second screen, and that's where you're going to define your prefix or populate your prefix. And then you can add blocks, and again, those blocks can be 10, 24 IDs in each block. Okay, so moving on to Fiber Channel Worldwide Node Name and Worldwide Port Name pools. I want to point out that in Intersight Managed Mode, there is no construct called a WWXN pool, like was in UCS Manager, UCS Central. In other words, you can't have a single pool to service both worldwide node names and worldwide port names. You'll have separate pools, worldwide node name and worldwide port name. And of course, those allow for the proper registration of your fiber channel devices in the storage network, so they can be properly zoned, etc. It's a 64-bit address. And as far as worldwide node names, that's usually one per host. The server profile will have one worldwide node name, which corresponds to the storage adapter. Okay. And then for each virtual host bus adapter in your SAN connectivity policy, you're going to have or consume one worldwide port name. So you'll definitely likely be using more worldwide port names than worldwide node names. Usually it's common to have two. VHBA 0 for maybe the A fabric, VHBA 1 for perhaps the B fabric, etc. Also want you to basically pay attention to the tooltip in Intersight. That's pretty much where this language is coming from. You have possible value ranges from 20 to 20 FF, okay, and then from 5 zeros to 5F FF. Okay, so that's not really a change between Intersight and UCS Manager. Recommended that you keep the existing format down here, and you can see the Cisco OUI is sort of embedded 0025B5. The second, okay, in the sixth, seventh, and eighth octets can be changed, okay, according to your organizational needs. So I just wanted to throw in a slide here with a simple example for worldwide no name and worldwide port name pools. Again, the worldwide no name is one per host server profile. Okay, and I always kind of chose the sixth octet. I chose to leave it as zeros and then use the last two octets for values from 0000 to FFFF. That gives you plenty of IDs in most cases. And then as far as the worldwide port name pools go, I use that sixth octet to delineate the fabric, okay? Because you usually keep your fabric separated all the way up through like the fabric switch. Then they go to different respective controllers on the storage array. So I would keep my worldwide port name pool for A fabric as AA, and then worldwide port name pool for B fabric as BB, and use them for VHBA 0 and 1 accordingly. Okay, last but not least, let's talk about iSCSI IQN pools for Intersight Managed Mode. We have the typical supported format for IQN, which is the year and month block dash naming authority, which is the reverse domain name of your naming authority. Okay, and then the actual colon and then unique name, okay, which is internally defined. So an example here, I used Cisco IQN. I have a date of December 1984, and then I have iscsi.cisco.com as my naming authority, and then unique name, server 1, server 2, server 3, what have you. Okay, and one final thing I want to say about IQN pools is in a similar fashion, they only get provisioned during server profile deployment time. So you won't see the IQNs when you create a server profile from scratch or when you derive from template, but rather you will see the assignments when you deploy the server profile to the server. And within pools, there is this concept or this tab called reservations, and we're going to address that at the end of the video. Okay, so in keeping with the precedents we established with the other IMM Expert Series videos, I like to put a graphical portrayal representation of what is connected to what as far as these pools are concerned. We did this with policies, okay? And in our case here, we have our different pools. The IP pool is actually consumed by the IMC access policy. Your IQN and MAC address pools are consumed by your LAN connectivity policy. Your worldwide no name and port name pools are consumed by the SAN connectivity policy. And then on the left here, the UUID pool is directly attached to the server profile template or server profile. So I hope these graphical representations kind of help map out the visualization, the connectivity of these different objects. Okay, for our demonstration, we're going to create a worldwide port name pool. And here we are in Intersight Infrastructure Service, and we're down here on pools. We're going to create a pool. Let's select worldwide port name. Click start. Give it a meaningful name. And I like creating fabric-specific worldwide port name pools for corresponding VHBA 0 for the A fabric, VHBA 1 for the B fabric, and whatever your nomenclature is. So I'll have a -A for A fabric. Click next. I want to make this unique. I'm going to keep the 0025B5 in the third, fourth, fifth octets, but I'm going to make the second octet unique. And then for the sixth octet, I'm going to use my AA for A fabric. And then that gives me plenty of IDs here in hex. My size, I'll max that out 1024 for that block. If I wish to have more, I can hit the plus sign to add another block. And then click create. Do a screen refresh real quick, and you can see our newly created pool. So that completes the demonstration. One final point I'd like to make with ID pools is this concept of reservations. And if we're in Intersight, um, you can see that you have that, and you're in pools, excuse me, infrastructure service pools. You'll see you have a tab here, reserved identifiers. So what I want to do is I want to first point out the help for that. Okay, so if you go to the Intersight Help Center, and then you go down here to infrastructure service, and then you go to servers, and you go to configure, and then over here on the right side, if you go down to pools, and you scroll down just a little bit, uh, you can see identity reservation. And if you read this, you'll see that two ways of getting an ID reservation, okay, is actually use the IMM transition tool, which is a wonderful tool that's free, that you can take an existing UCS manager or UCS central logical infrastructure, pools, policies, templates, profiles, and migrate those auto magically to an Intersight account. Okay, so the tool works wonderfully. Okay, and when using that tool, it actually can participate in this reservation of an ID to a a server profile. Okay. The other way is to actually use the API, and there's an API docs reference here on how you can issue API commands. Okay, to actually reserve. Okay, those IDs to server profile kind of uh, relationship there. So if it's a particular ID to a particular server profile, you can interact with that. Um, from a pure UI standpoint, you can't really do anything here. So what I'm going to walk you through here is I actually use the IMM transition tool, and I transitioned a configuration from my UCS manager domain to Intersight Managed Mode. Okay, so that transition completed. And we have separate videos that walk you through the IMM transition tool. So I highly suggest you go to the Compute BU YouTube channel and check that out um, if you're interested. And also, you got the help here. But what I wanted to show you then is back at the kind of the end result here. So this is a particular account that I transitioned that configuration to, and here's the pools that I created in that UCS manager infrastructure, and I transitioned to Intersight. And you can see that all the pools pretty much have some IDs that are used, except the IP pool. Okay, and that's because I don't have any hardware uh, registered, claimed to this Intersight account. So I haven't actually deployed any of these server profiles down to the compute nodes. And as we alluded to with the slides, okay, the IP pool gets allocated, assigned at time of deployment. So right now, there's none used. But if I go to the reserved identifiers, I can see that they actually show up here. Now, it would be nice if you saw the mapping. Okay, that actually does not show here in the UI. You probably could find that in the API. Okay, but these IPs will stay true to the original assignments in UCS Manager. Okay, so that if you were to claim a UCS domain into IMM, and I go ahead and I deploy down these server profiles to those compute nodes, the proper management IP will go down to the applicable server as was defined in UCS Manager. Okay, so the IMM transition tool does a wonderful job of keeping track of the proper IDs to the proper server profiles, be it MAC addresses in VNIX or worldwide names in the VHBAs, UUIDs, IPs, etc. Okay. And as those get assigned, then they will actually disappear. So if we were to assign all the server profiles down to the compute nodes, this would in fact be blank. And it is also the reason why you don't see any other reservations in here because the tool's already mapped those, okay? And we know for things like UUID and MAC addresses and worldwide no names, okay, those get attached to the server profile at creation time. So the tool's already done that. It's already done that mapping. They're already there in the server profile. It's just these IPs from the IP pools, and if we were in an iSCSI IQN situation use case, it would be the same for those. They don't get assigned until you actually assign the deploy the server profile to the actual compute node. So just a comment on that. I want everybody to understand that where you can find additional information on that. And then also, since we're here, you got this VRF tab, and there's a default VRF in there. You're absolutely not going to do anything with this. You can just ignore this for the time being. So this is kind of for future possible situations where we might support additional VRFs with like IPs. But as it stands now, there's only one single default VRF. So you don't actually have to pay attention to this at all. That completes our demonstration and our talk about reserved identifiers. I hope you were able to learn something from that. Okay, so that completes our video today about IMM ID pools. I sure hope you were able to pick up a few tips and learn something in this video. Please stay tuned for more Intersight Managed Mode Expert Series videos, and thank you.